Hello, I want to introduce you to my friend Shanoy. She's 7, and she and I once played several games of hide and seek and a mini game of peekaboo. This was the first time I had played these silly little games for such a long time. I met her when her and her family were waiting to pick up their medicines from the pharmacy on my medical mission trip and service project to Jamaica. Hello, my name is Griffin Gray, and the organization that I chose for my Mission Possible project is Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders is a medical service organization similar to the one I went to Jamaica with. They are a humanitarian, non-profit organization based in Geneva, Switzerland that provides medical aid around the globe. It's known internationally as Médecins Sans Frontières, which is French for Doctors Without Borders. They work in more than 70 countries to provide different kinds of aid ranging from infectious disease control to sexual and gender violence help. It was founded in 1971 in the midst of the Nigerian Civil War. 11 French doctors traveled to Biafra, the region of Nigeria that was attempting to secede. They provided medical care to those who needed it. They were one of the first organizations to deliver emergency medical aid quickly, effectively, and impartially. They spoke out about the injustices they saw in Nigeria, and they openly criticized the Nigerian government. These doctors were pioneers for other organizations like this. I chose this organization for two main reasons. First, I am interested in a future medical career for myself, and second, I enjoy learning about the world and the people that live in it. One of Doctors Without Borders' strongest pursuits is dangerous infectious disease prevention and recovery. One specific disease that they target is malaria. In 2017, Doctors Without Borders treated 2.5 million people for malaria. Let's just pause for a second to understand how large that is. That's a few more people than the entire population of the Kansas City metro area. And that's huge for one disease that this one organization is treating. More than a third of all Doctors Without Borders projects are in locations actively experiencing armed conflict, including the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. During the 2004 Houthi insurgent takeover in Yemen, medical providers were living with the constant fear that something terrible could happen at any moment, and yet they kept treating and seeing patients. In 2015, in Kunduz, Afghanistan, a Doctors Without Borders run hospital was hit by an accidental airstrike. Although 19 doctors and patients sadly died during that airstrike, the survivors continued to provide care afterwards. Doctors Without Borders does not judge nor consider patients' race, religion, sexuality, etc. They try to just help all in need. One generally targeted group of peoples that Doctors Without Borders helps are refugees. In situations like the Central American refugee crisis, each year in Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Guatemala, more than 500,000 people flee their homes to flee violence and poverty. They escape up through Mexico, and sometimes they even reach the U.S. The victimization of migrants is unfortunately extremely common. This includes things from robbery to sexual assault to abuse and even torture. Doctors Without Borders has multiple hospitals in Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador to help provide care. In 1999, they won the Nobel Peace Prize for their pioneering humanitarian work around the world. In the former leader of Doctors Without Borders, Dr. James Orbinski's acceptance speech, he used the opportunity to directly address the then Russian leader, Boris Yeltsin. He condemned Russian violence against civilians in Chechnya and said that, quote, "Silence has long been confused with neutrality, and from its beginning, Doctors Without Borders created an assumption to the opposition to this assumption. We are not sure that words can always save lives, but we know that silence can certainly kill." These are part of Doctors Without Borders' core values to speak out against whatever foreign organization or government they believe are committing crimes or atrocities. Now we'll talk about my toolbox. So my actual toolbox is a traveling backpack. My backpack symbolizes how Doctors Without Borders travels all around the world to provide aid in many different locations, from refugee camps to warring factions. They travel without any discrimination of patients or people in need. This backpack also accompanied me on my extension project to Jamaica. My first item in my toolbox is a stethoscope. The stethoscope represents all the medical help Doctors Without Borders provides around the world. This organization provides many different types of aid ranging from chronic illness help to mental health. This was an actual stethoscope used on my mission. My second item in my toolbox is a brain squishy. So this brain is cut in half to represent Doctors Without Borders' open-mindedness and impartiality to their patients. They respect all of their patients and don't judge them based off their gender, age, religion, sexuality, etc. It also represents how Doctors Without Borders is impartial in all conflict and they don't conform to one single government. My last item in my toolbox is a microphone. The microphone represents how they speak out and publicize atrocities that governments and organizations allow. Doctors Without Borders was one of the very first organizations to conduct themselves in this way, which led many of the others to do the same. So in summary, the topic I chose for my Mission Possible project was Doctors Without Borders. I chose this because I want to pursue a medical career and I want to make a positive difference in the world someday. Doctors Without Borders is a humanitarian, non-profit organization that provides life-saving medical aid all around the world. They make a positive difference in the world by providing many different types of medical care, not discriminating against their patients, and speaking out against the violence they see. They help people all across the world, just like